Welcome to the 10 Minutes Gold Mine, where every book gives you a treasure of knowledge in just 10 minutes. The Autobiography of Malcolm X, Malcolm X and Alex Haley. Introduction. Malcolm X is one of the most controversial and influential figures in American history. His life, from a troubled youth to a powerful voice for Black liberation, is a journey of transformation, self-discovery, and activism. The Autobiography of Malcolm X, as told to Alex Haley, is more than just a life story. It's a powerful message about race, identity, and the struggle for justice. Part 1. A Troubled Beginning. Malcolm Little was born in 1925 in Omaha, Nebraska. His father, Earl Little, was a Baptist preacher and a strong advocate of Marcus Garvey's philosophy of Black self-reliance and independence. Because of his activism, the family faced constant threats from white supremacist groups, including the Ku Klux Klan. When Malcolm was just 6 years old, his father was found dead under suspicious circumstances. Though officially ruled an accident, many believed he was murdered by white supremacists. This tragedy left Malcolm's mother, Louise Little, struggling to raise her children alone. The financial strain, coupled with constant racial harassment, eventually led to her being institutionalized in a mental hospital. Separated from his siblings, Malcolm was placed in foster homes. He excelled academically, but a devastating moment came when a teacher told him that becoming a lawyer was not a realistic goal for a Black boy. This experience shattered his confidence in the education system and made him question his place in a society that saw Black people as inferior. Part 2. Street Life and Hustling. Disillusioned, Malcolm moved to Boston to live with his half-sister, Ella. Unlike his strict upbringing, Ella encouraged Malcolm to explore the world on his own terms. He was drawn to the fast-paced life of the city, where he quickly adapted to the street culture. Malcolm soon moved to Harlem, where he became involved in gambling, drug dealing, and burglary. Known as Detroit Red, because of his reddish hair, he gained a reputation as a smooth talker and hustler. This period of his life exposed him to both the harsh realities of racism and the underground economy that many Black Americans relied on to survive. However, his criminal activities caught up with him. In 1946, Malcolm was arrested for burglary and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Though it seemed like rock bottom, prison would become the place where he underwent a profound transformation. Part 3. Prison and Transformation. While in prison, Malcolm met a fellow inmate who introduced him to the teachings of the Nation of Islam, NOI, a Black nationalist movement led by Elijah Muhammad. The NOI preached that Black people were the original people of the world and that white people were devils created to oppress them. Intrigued, Malcolm began reading extensively. He spent hours in the prison library, studying history, philosophy, and religion. He realized how Black history had been erased or distorted to maintain white supremacy. This period of self-education sharpened his critical thinking and strengthened his commitment to the Black liberation struggle. By the time he was released in 1952, Malcolm had completely reinvented himself. He dropped his last name, Little, which he considered a slave name, and adopted X to symbolize his lost African ancestry. Part 4. Rise as a Nation of Islam Leader. After his release, Malcolm X quickly rose within the ranks of the Nation of Islam. His intelligence, charisma, and fiery speeches made him one of the most prominent voices in the movement. He founded NOI temples across the country, attracting thousands of new followers. His speeches condemned white supremacy, criticized integration efforts, and called for Black self-sufficiency. He argued that nonviolence was not the answer, famously stating, "by any means necessary." While Martin Luther King Jr. preached nonviolent resistance, Malcolm X advocated for self-defense. He rejected the idea that Black people should turn the other cheek when faced with violence. This stance made him a polarizing figure, hated by white America but deeply admired by many young black activists. His influence grew so much that he became a national figure, appearing on television and engaging in debates with civil rights leaders. However, his growing power also created tensions within the Nation of Islam. Part 5. Break from the Nation of Islam. Malcolm X's relationship with the Nation of Islam began to crumble when he learned that Elijah Muhammad, whom he saw as a spiritual father, had secretly fathered several children with young women in the organization. This hypocrisy deeply disappointed Malcolm, as the NOI preached strict moral conduct. The final straw came in 1963 when Malcolm made a controversial remark after President John F. Kennedy's assassination. He said the assassination was an example of chickens coming home to roost, implying that America's violent history had led to its leader's murder. This statement angered Elijah Muhammad, who silenced Malcolm for 90 days. Realizing he could no longer stay in the NOI, Malcolm left in 1964 and began a new chapter of his life. Part 6. Pilgrimage to Mecca and New Perspective. Seeking spiritual clarity, Malcolm X traveled to Mecca, Saudi Arabia. The pilgrimage to Mecca, known as Hajj, changed his perspective on race and humanity. For the first time, he saw Muslims of all races, black, white, Arab, and Asian, praying together as equals. This experience shattered his belief that all white people were inherently evil. He realized that racism was not a biological issue but a social and political construct used to divide people. After returning from Mecca, he adopted the name El-Hajj Malik el-Shabazz and began promoting a more inclusive approach to black empowerment. He still believed in self-defense and black pride, but he now saw the struggle as part of a global human rights movement rather than just a racial one. He founded the Organization of Afro-American Unity (OAAU) to unite black Americans and connect with African and international leaders. His new message focused on unity, economic independence, and political activism. Part 7. Assassination and Legacy. Malcolm X's break from the Nation of Islam made him many enemies. He was under constant surveillance by the FBI, and his former NOI colleagues saw him as a traitor. On February 21, 1965, while preparing to give a speech in Harlem's Audubon Ballroom, Malcolm X was assassinated by 3 gunmen. He was only 39 years old. His death sent shockwaves across the world. Many believed his assassination was politically motivated, with suspicions of government involvement. Years later, in 2021, 2 of the men convicted for his murder were exonerated, adding to the mystery surrounding his death. Part 8. The impact of his autobiography. Before his death, Malcolm X had been working with journalist Alex Haley to document his life story. The autobiography of Malcolm X was published later in 1965 and became an instant classic. The book introduced Malcolm's life and philosophy to millions, inspiring generations of activists. It played a crucial role in the rise of the Black Power movement in the late 1960s and continues to influence social justice movements today. Unlike many leaders, Malcolm X had the rare ability to evolve. He was not afraid to question his own beliefs and adapt as he gained new knowledge. This openness to change is one of the reasons his legacy remains so powerful. Conclusion. Malcolm X's story is one of transformation, resilience, and the pursuit of truth. From a troubled youth to a fearless leader, his journey teaches us the importance of education, critical thinking, and standing up for justice. His legacy is complex, but one thing is clear: he changed the course of history. His speeches and writings continue to inspire people fighting against oppression worldwide. What do you think about Malcolm X's evolution from a street hustler to a revolutionary leader? Do you agree with his earlier views, or do you find his later philosophy more inspiring? Share your thoughts in the comments section. That's it for today's 10 Minutes Gold Mine. If you found value in this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and keep mining for more golden knowledge. See you in the next one.